Meditation. We all hear the many benefits of meditation, but why do so many still continue to struggle? Is it just one way or is it so many more? Stay tuned. Those answers coming up.
Living Optimally with Pamela Jones is brought to you by Meditating Motivators.
Hi, I'm Pamela Jones, your meditating motivator, and welcome to another episode of Living Optimally with Pamela Jones. Today, we're going to be talking about the many benefits of meditation. We all hear about meditation, why we should meditate, but it's very funny because I often get asked all the time, what is meditation? Sometimes we take that for granted that everybody knows. I always like to say, don't overstress about meditation. Most of us are meditating when we don't even realize that we're meditating. But what are some of the benefits of meditation? Meditation not only centers us, it gets us still, but it also gives so many health benefits. It will lower blood pressure, it will calm us. And before, when we were talking about people living stressful lives and being able to find who they are, that's one of the things that's very important, is making sure that you're centered. Now, what does centered mean? We are pulled in so many different directions on a daily basis, all of us, but we're not centered and focused on what we need to be able to do. Sometimes, like we say, we got so many hats, we're multitasking, but we're not getting things completed or done. Why is that? We're not grounded, we're not still. And being able to have the stillness, we need to do that every day. Meditation, most of the time when people are struggling with meditation, it's because they're not doing it on a consistent basis. Don't make it one more chore that you have to be able to do in your life, because we all have enough to do and we have more than enough on our plate. Meditation should be something that is literally freeing your mind. It is really a beautiful way to make you reconnect to who you are authentically. We don't take enough time to do that. Now, meditation, I like to be able to say, remember when we focus on this series of living life optimally, that is being balanced physically, mentally, emotionally, socially, and spiritually. Well, I like to be able to say that meditation really helps us reconnect who we are spiritually. And this is so important because meditation in itself, how do we do it? Don't overstress. We'll talk about that in just a second. Now, helping you be able to learn how to meditate, this is so interesting. Meditation don't always have to be just zoned out, sitting on a floor, cross-legged. Believe it or not, I work with people on so many levels, and I honestly have people come and ask, well, I can't sit on the floor. I've had so many knee surgeries or whatever. That doesn't mean that you're not able to meditate. It's just learning how to get your peaceful, quiet moment. Now, one thing is really great to be able to find you a quiet place for just a moment. Now, some people have heard me do talks before, or I've actually done a different video when I've said we all can go to the restroom and we do a little bit of a rest throughout the day, but incorporate just a few minutes to be able to be still. I don't care if you get a quiet moment at home, on your job, or sitting in your car. I do that all the time. Not in traffic where you're blowing on the horn, screaming at the next driver, calming down to where you're just centered. Now, with that being said, set the intentions for every day. This is something so important. Your intentions for the day. Before I ever put my feet on the floor, go through a part of gratitude. I start with gratitude. I'm so grateful for what? It can be a long list. It can be something that you've actually comprised all together. But what are you grateful for? Gratitude, not being able to omit that before you put your feet on the floor. Then set your intentions for the day. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to set what goal and what exactly is going to happen for the day, but your intention for the day. That can be as simple as, I intend to be able to be in a positive mood. It means I might be able to reach somebody. I want to be able to personally take time to greet and say hello. Now, sometimes it's so important, you might even say, my intentions today is every time somebody gives me a compliment to simply just say, thank you. So what is your intentions for the day? You go through that before you actually start your day. You set the tone and your energy is shifted. Now, if you just jump out of the bed, you're running late, you forgot to set your alarm, you run, you hit your toe on the corner, all of these things set the energy, and guess what? It trickles throughout the day. We've all heard that. But let's meditate. Let's talk about how to meditate on certain things. Now, finding that quiet moment to meditate, I always like to say, most of the time when a person's doing that, you can close your eyes or you can open your eyes. Guess what? You can meditate while you're washing dishes. You can meditate while you're even walking. Now, one of the most beautiful times right now is I like to walk. I like to go outside, put my feet in warm grass and just connect with the earth and just appreciate, going back to gratitude, just nature itself and how I can connect one within myself. So if nothing else, start with just writing down. What is it? What is my intention? Write it down. And what is it that I want to connect with? What is it that I want to release? What is it that I want to get rid of? Now, a lot of times I hear people say they meditate on releasing certain negative things that they want to. I want to recommend that you kind of shift your mind. Don't look at things in terms of right or wrong. Just look at they just are. Not right or wrong. And ask yourself, does it serve me? A lot of times when somebody says, I struggle with just keeping my mind focused, they can't focus on one thing. Then I also study with them a little bit longer, and I see sometimes those people also have a hard time letting go of things. If you look at somebody who has a hard time letting go of things, yes, sometimes it's hard to meditate. So I always like to say, go back into what are you focusing on? The present moment. Let's talk about the present moment. The present moment is so important because it's about what's going on right now. That's all we really have. The present is just that. It's a present. It's a gift to us. So embrace the moment. How do we be able to embrace the present moment? We go through, I like to say, go back to those 5 senses that we learned when we were small children. What do I hear? Close your eyes. What do I hear? What do I see? What do I smell? What do I taste? Those types of things, being in the moment, what's going on in life now? Because a lot of times you either, what happened? Oh, I shouldn't have done this. Oh, I wish I could have done this. So we get stuck in shoulda, coulda, wouldas, but then we also get stuck in, what if this doesn't happen? What if this happens? So be in the present moment. All I have is now. Not even worrying about what I have to do tomorrow, but being in the present moment. That is what's important right now. Now, dwelling in the hearing now, in the present moment, believe it or not, this is the most important way for you to be able to reach your highest potential. Now, talk about why am I stuck and I can't reach my level of success that you've learned in other episodes. It's also because we're not dwelling in the present moment. That's also an extension of why we can't reach that. But how do we do that? We dwell in the present moment. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to offer you some different tips, suggestions to be able to look at what we need to be able to do. Now, first thing is trigger. Noticing what triggers you, what distracts you. A lot of times people say, okay, I'm going to meditate now. But you're doing it. It's not a quiet area. It's not an area that you can designate at least 5 minutes. Then you know you're anticipating distractions. You're already setting yourself up. What are some of the things that keep me from focus? I would even say start with writing those things down. Well, it's I don't have enough time. I don't have enough alone time without the children or whatever, whether it's work or whatever. You can make that time. We all have 24 hours in a day. We just have to be able to determine what we're going to do in that timing. Another thing that we want to be able to do is being able to look at your surrounding area and going back, is it clutter-free? So when we can be able to do that, when it's clutter-free, we have a free mind. So when we have a free mind, we can actually be able to focus. Also, another thing that's important to remember, did you know that just daily meditation can actually help you be able to be physically healthier? Now, what I mean by that is a lot of times people, going back to why I struggle with weight, years ago, I didn't meditate. I didn't know about meditation. I knew that prayer was always good. And another thing is, why is that people actually have conversations and go back and forth. Well, I pray. Prayer answers, prayer does. But you don't need to separate. It's not prayer or meditation. It's almost like a beautiful blended marriage. You need both. Because what I always like to say is, even within meditating motivators, I always like to be able to share, don't just think about and talk about what I need, that prayer I need, I want, but being able to be still on receiving what's right for you. Now, when we focus on centering, I want you to be able to ask yourself, what am I here to do? What am I here to do right now? Release yourself from anything from before or what you have to do, but what am I here to do? And that is also a great way. If you close your eyes, or if you're sitting there fixated on something and you're meditating, ask yourself that over and over again. If your mind wanders, bring it back to, what am I here to do? Or either visualize yourself on whatever level, if it is. Some people like to visualize themselves on a ship, on a beach, or whatever. But what am I here to do? Even when we talk about the weight, losing the weight or being healthy, what is it that I'm here to do? And not only what do I want to look like, but why is it that I want to be healthy? I meditate on those things. Be sure to be easy on yourself. Even if you have a hard time focusing, centering, a lot of times that's the same thing as having a hard time focusing on your goals and staying on that goal. Most of the time we set them, we have intentions, oh, we want to do this, and we plan these different things, but we don't go forward with sticking to it. So it's kind of like meditation in the same sense. We have a visual of what we want to be able to do. I want to get healthier. So you got to visualize yourself healthier. You got to see yourself healthier. And another thing I want to share with you is affirmations. You would be surprised how many people come to me and say they have affirmations. Well, I say, share some of your affirmations with me. And they're reciting something that somebody else said. They're reciting. That's so important, because are those your affirmations, or you read that and it sound great, and so you just said, oh, I want that to be attached to me, but it doesn't have any feeling. I like to always say, the words are not what have the power. It's the energy or the emotion that you attach to the words, and that becomes your own personal affirmations. So if I read something that somebody says, I love sunshine days, I can read that in so many different ways, but it doesn't resonate with me. But if I say something that I am healthy, I am happy, I am disease-free, I am positive and always in a great mood, you see how my energy shifted? Because that's something that I truly feel and believe within myself. So you have to be able to feel it within yourself to resonate.
See that woman? She's not just someone who can make a Cancun vacation tax deductible. She's a marketer. Sharon uses constant contact email to maintain and build relationships. She sends her clients professional newsletters. And she can see who opens and clicks on them, so she knows what's working. It's not just those fast fingers that keep Sharon's clients flocking back. Sharon's a marketer, and all it took was constant contact. Try it free.
Visita provides a complete business calendar, fully integrated with your client scheduling experience. You can view and manage your daily schedule and any upcoming meetings, and most importantly, schedule new appointments and follow-ups with your clients. Using Visita Calendar for client scheduling will save you time and deliver a better service to your clients. Visita Calendar automatically syncs with your existing calendar on Google, Outlook, iPhone, and more.
Welcome back. At this time, we would like to thank our sponsors for making the show possible. We also would like to thank you, the viewers, for continuing to tune in. If you would like to be a sponsor, you can be able to reach out. I can be reached at pam@meditatingmotivators.com, or just simply through my website at meditatingmotivators.com. Now, continuing with meditation, one of the things I want you to remember is the importance of why we should meditate. Meditation will help you to be able to embrace and also increase your spirituality. That was something that was very important to me, and it was actually also very surprising how much it increased. Now, what I mean by increasing your spirituality, I've always known and appreciated my creator, a source bigger than me. So when you're meditating on that, I always like to ask people, is it something larger than you? But also asking yourself when you're meditating, what am I here to do? What is my purpose? Because I've actually mentioned this many times that a lot of times people don't know what their purpose is. Trust me, meditation on a regular basis will actually be able to reveal your purpose more and more, and it will be isolated and very tailored to you and not what other people have told you that you're great at. Remember before when I was talking about your calling and your career? That will become so evident with just meditation on what you should be focused on. Now, spirituality, I actually struggled with this for years, and there is not a day that goes by that I'm not having a conversation with somebody on religion. And sometimes you get lost in the practice, and it's just a platform, and your religious beliefs is great. If that works for you, that's perfect, because it actually is something that connects you to be able to be created and connected to higher source. Now, what I mean by meditation to be able to enhance your spirituality, also looking at your worth, how you feel emotionally, that is really connected spiritually as well, because how do I determine my worthiness? How do I determine that I'm worth more than what I am? Now, when you meditate on that, and remember we were talking about your self-perception, that actually increases with meditation. So a lot of times I teach myself how to be still and focus on my worth. Now, this is a great example that I like to share with people so they can have a really good idea and a visual of what I mean by worth in your meditation. A lot of times people connect with God out there, or they'll say, I want to be able to be worthy, or I want to please, and they never feel good enough. Isn't that interesting? Never feel good enough, so you don't feel worthy, but you're disconnected. How do you become more connected? How do you become one with the greater source? And that is because you're meditating. You're being able to tap into your true essence, not what's going on around you. Don't we all love these stories, whether we're seeing them on television, whether we're seeing them on social media, where somebody just does something out of the goodness of their heart? I always like to say, don't look for love, you be love. If you are love and you feel the love within, the love will emanate out. And guess what? Love attracts love. So it's not about finding somebody. And speaking of love, meditating on loving yourself, and then that way that other significant other will be able to connect with that. The other person will know exactly who you are as a person, because you never want to start a relationship. And it's so interesting because at one point in time I was teaching middle school. Now, one of the things I really wanted to teach is I wanted to teach broader than just what they could get in the classroom. And I learned to take this in life. Now, with that being said, is being able to dwell on character. What is your character? What are you here to do? Now, I heard one thing that I learned or read years ago, and it's so important, is one thing that is not taught in schools, or we don't have enough, is an attitude of success. We don't know what it feels like. So we don't know what that confident level looks like. So we spend a lifetime chasing, trying to find out how to increase our confidence, but we don't know what that looks like or feels like. So another thing that we're doing is we don't know our worth. What is your own self-worth? If you are making, this is something that was so important. If you're making $50,000 a year and you don't see how to make higher, you will be staying at $50,000 a year. But how do you increase that? How do I increase my confidence? Now, when I was teaching character education, like I said before, who are you? But being able to see bigger than your life situations, your life circumstances. If you grow up in a neighborhood where it's struggling, what will get you out of that mindset? How do you free your mind? Guess what? Meditation will take you anywhere. So that's one of the things you have to incorporate on a daily basis. Give yourself time to escape where you are. Now, you don't want to zone out, because remember, it's important to be in the present moment, but you got to be able to find ways to bring yourself back into focus. What I mean by bring yourself back into focus, I'm going to show you in just a second how to be able to concentrate on some particular meditations. And then also, if you tune into my website, you will find a lot more information that will help you be able to know how to do this on a consistent basis, or being able to actually implement some of these meditations, or just centering and stillness. And then also how to increase energy work. Now, speaking of energy work, that's also something when we're talking about meditation, is we are full of so much energy. Sometimes people will say, oh, boy, by the time 2 o'clock comes, I have such low energy. Why is that? Is it what we're eating? Is it what we're thinking about? Is it what we're concentrating on? Is it what we are putting inside of ourselves? So those things are happening. What are we meditating on to increase that energy? How do we be able to align ourselves to where we have full energy in all levels? Guess what? Things that we are doing in our bodies are aligned with our energy levels. So whether it has to do with our confidence level, that might be low. So we can be able to show you different ways to be able to increase that. So being able to go back to the benefit of meditation, I had someone to reach out to me recently that said one of the things they've been struggling with for so long is so much has happened in life and I feel so depressed. Now, I also had a young lady who, after the first episode, sent me a long, lengthy email, which I truly appreciate. And I love that. Shoot me an email, and it doesn't have to be to where everybody knows, because I truly appreciate when you share your heart and your soul. Because guess what? When you do that, you're freeing up your soul and your spirit, so that way you can walk into your true potential, and you do free yourself up to be who you are meant to be authentically. Now, this young lady shared her heart and soul and said, thank you for sharing of yourselves. Now, one of the things I like to teach, meditation helped me to be able to realize that all of our lives are really an open book. What do we mean by that? We teach ourselves to hide behind certain things that are happening in life, or we begin to be embarrassed, or we begin to feel all of this shame. Guess what? All of that makes us dwell on a very low level. And we know when we vibrate on a very low level, we're not as productive as we would hope to be. And that also affects our dreams and our goals. So with that being, and also our productivity, whether it is our jobs or businesses. So how do we raise our vibration? Guess what? Meditation can help with that as well. And I can show you different ways to be able to increase that. But for the sake of time, I want you to be able to remember this lady that I was talking about. She was sharing, you telling me about your story helped me to be able to come out of this depression. I didn't even realize I was depressed. And that was one of the things that we shared on this story, because I realized I don't want to be depressed anymore. I don't want to cry all the time. Now, crying is good for a release, because when I'm talking to people, sometimes you can have a good cry and it's almost like your soul's way of releasing pain. That's just, don't run away from emotions, like I said before, because we all have a multitude of emotions, and emotions just let us know where we are. Now, with the depression that's going on, it can also help us to be able to get out of our way, because sometimes it keeps us stuck on something that happened. And guess what is attached to that? Forgiveness. And we can't forgive others because guess what? We're not forgiving ourselves. So I even taught myself how to be able to meditate on, how do I want to be? How do I release all of the things that do not serve me in a productive way? Now, sharing a little bit about myself with this young lady, and also sharing with you, I just focused on, one of my initial meditations was, I just kept saying over and over again, I don't want to be afraid anymore. I don't want to be afraid anymore. And even when I would just give myself 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I don't want to be afraid anymore. And what happened is the more I started meditating, the more I started having things to surface that I didn't even realize was holding me back, and it was creating a fear. And I'm so thankful this lady connected with me, even through some of the things that I share on social media or different things like that, is saying that because of your braveness or your courage, I like to say courage because that's what we have, and that's also another thing we can do to be able to increase your amount of courage, is being able to help me to be able to do that. Now, one of the greatest success is also, after we've been showing these different episodes, there's a young lady that is in another state. She reached out and wanted to share some of her progress of her being able to release some of the things that she was doing. And she even shared with me, and I would be able to say this because I didn't check for sure, but she lives in Michigan. And she shared with me she's actually fulfilling these particular dreams. She's writing books. She's doing great things. And one of the greatest things she said was, because you have been focusing on you and increasing who you are as a person as a whole, it motivated and gave me permission to do the same. So you have to be able to really believe that when you start to meditate, you are really increasing who you were created to be and not limiting yourself to how you were raised to be or how your environment molded you to be. So meditation brings that out. And for that, I'm grateful for this young lady to reach out and say that. And I wish her continued success on that. So with that being said, to wrap up with meditation, one of the last things I want to be able to share with you is being able to make sure, as a refresher, meditation doesn't have to be one more thing that you're doing. Make sure that you're just being able to get a quiet moment and find something to focus on. If you have nothing else to focus on your breathing. We have to breathe. Just breathe on your breath. Inhale, exhale, 1. See how far you get. If you can only get to 7, realize, okay, I'm distracted. Go back to it. Remember, be easy on yourself because there's so many health benefits. And also meditate on why it is important that you need to meditate. I need to center. I need to relieve stress. I need to focus on me getting back into being happy, to being healthy. So these things are so important. And don't forget to reach out to me at meditatingmotivators.com because I will show you so many different ways that you can be able to tailor your meditations for yourself.